Hello and welcome to today's session. Today I'm going to be talking about using a service design approach towards creating effective augmented learning platforms. My name is Warren Fern. I'm part of the design department in the School of Arts at York St John University. So what exactly is augmented reality, or AR as we call it? AR experiences are connected and centered around the real world, but with virtual objects superimposed so that both real and virtual objects coexist in the same space. Today, you can see there are many applications that provide augmented reality experiences, from social media such as Facebook, Snapchat, through to art exhibitions, museum exhibits. AR is slowly becoming integrated into our everyday lives. This new wave of visual communication is making a significant impact on a multitude of industry and educational sectors. So how can AR technology be used for social good? Here are some examples of how it's benefited a few sectors, like AR for physical activity. In 2018 and 19, figures suggested that just over a third of men and women were not achieving the recommended minimum levels of physical activity. You may be familiar with Pokemon Go, where you can play an AR game to move around any given environment. Those people who actively played it were twice as likely to reach the minimum recommended daily activity of 10,000 steps. Therefore, demonstrating geolocation AR can provide unique and meaningful experiences. Our well-being is important to us. Here is a project by an organisation called Designability, where their research involves using an augmented reality headset named the Microsoft HoloLens. The design problem identifies people with dementia often have difficulties with memory and completing tasks. The exciting part is where augmented reality opens the possibility of overlaying 3D information onto the real world, helping to trigger prompts for people living with dementia. Climate change is a concern for everyone on a global scale. AR is capable of overlaying 3D data visualizations showing the effects of ocean acidification through nearby seas, or the effects of severe weather changes on local plant life. Here is a great example of a student project using virtual reality to show the effects of balloons on ocean pollution. Research can help bring attention to the possible social consequences of AR used at a large scale, so the technology can be designed to avoid these issues before becoming ubiquitous. AR is now being used to create new learning experiences and platforms. The technology has the potential to vastly enhance the sector's ability to reach and assist children in education and training. The challenge is to ensure that this potential is harnessed and scaled to benefit millions of children. So why use service design for AR? Service design is an emerging field focused on the creation of well thought through experiences using a combination of intangible and tangible mediums. It provides numerous benefits to the end user experience when applied to different sectors. From augmented, mixed and virtual realities, they all provide us with unique experiences and placed under the umbrella of what we refer to as extended realities, XR. Essentially, augmented reality is both a service and a system. There are 5 principles we need to consider for a service design approach. Any designer needs to think about both the external factors and impact, as well as the internal factors that encompass all stakeholders who can contribute towards the co-creative process. If we look at the 5 principles, number 1 being user-centered, experiences are customer focused. Number 2, co-creative, so all stakeholders are part of the process. Number 3, sequencing, the service should be visualised as a sequence of interrelated actions. And number 4, evidencing, the service should be visualised in terms of physical artefacts. And lastly, number 5, holistic, the entire environment of a service should be considered overall. The overall design process is an iterative one that can move from any stage to an agile manner. At any time, a designer can move to one of the 4 stages to sometimes reflect, create, or further explore research findings. The key stages help to identify where designers can make people's lives better. The process can help reveal key touch points. In this case, how AR can benefit a certain scenario or problem. So let's take a look at the exploration stage. This example is a current research project investigating how AR can help bridge the gap between classroom and remote learning. These adopted methods are an initial way of understanding people's needs, in this case primary school teachers. Service safaris help a designer to record key moments when observing situations. Contextual interviews provide more specific, in-depth information, identifying barriers and opportunities for using augmented reality. Lastly, customer journey maps highlight key touch points, enabling a designer to empathise with their target audience. It is not uncommon to find most design methodologies incorporate empathy within their thinking processes. Explicit examples are Stanford D School and the Interaction Design Foundation identifying empathy as being the key initial driver. Using empathy mapping is a useful tool to engage with your target audience and to understand how they think, feel, say, do, and gain a perspective from their side. What can we do for you? In this example, the key questions being how AR can be a force for good and where it can provide meaningful educational experiences. Here you can see an empathy mapping exercise to generate user responses. Through gaining user feedback, it is far easier to create a visual map of where relationships connect, barriers appear, and opportunities lie. From conducting several exploration methods, it has been far easier to create an infographic representation of a holistic AR approach where schools face certain challenges of being adopted through connectivity, attitudes, affordability, etc. On the other hand, we can identify where new openings appear through remote geolocation, edge computing, AR cloud services, community group work. All of these factors potentially offer new learning experiences. These key findings can be further interrogated to unearth what is most important to the end user. Things like affordability and investment, having to consider the digital divide and differentiation from school budgets. Infrastructure and accessibility within having adequate Wi-Fi connectivity and resources. Inclusive, where teachers express making AR available and accessible to all pupils, including SEND. And designing an AR experience that is simple and intuitive to use. These were some of the fundamental points teachers began to collectively raise. So following on from the exploration stage, we can move on to the creation stage, which is one of my favourites. A few methods have been used here: design scenarios, exploring solutions, prototypes, and more importantly, experiences. The drawings you see are not by a designer, they are wonderfully drawn by the primary school teachers. Certain techniques such as the Crazy Eights, which was introduced by Jake Knapp at Google Ventures as part of a design sprint. They asked participants to fold an A4 sheet of paper until you have 8 rectangles. This exercise requires participants to draw 8 ideas in 8 minutes. That way, teachers, in this case, have no time to think about their drawing style or techniques. It is a fast way of offloading ideas down onto paper and visually articulating how AR can make a positive impact to their own teaching delivery. When we begin to see current AR digital technologies such as the Microsoft Mesh, we begin to see a glimpse into the future where remote communication and interaction takes on a new dimension. This is the power of 3D graphics, which will inevitably provide new learning experiences. Leading academics who are currently researching the impact of AR in education do emphasise partnerships between educators and learning designers is needed to incorporate sound pedagogy with innovative technology to develop effective AR applications that maximise on learning outcomes. 3D real-time graphics are rapidly advancing, enabling creatives to produce very realistic and convincing images, as you can see from this example of meta-humans by an Unreal Engine. The overlaying of such powerful 3D graphics onto the real world opens a whole new way of 3D learning in any given environment. So moving forward, designers and developers need to understand the broader context of using AR. In 2019, the 31st Australian Conference on Human-Computer Interaction, leading academics decided to outline a number of goals to address positive social impact using AR. As you can see, this is quite a collective approach. What is interesting, if we are to understand the challenges and potential solutions in AR research and practice, we should certainly look towards design methodologies, which brings us full circle to promoting a service design approach that can empathise and identify key challenges and opportunities for any end user. So that concludes the session. Thank you for your time, hope you enjoyed it, and there's information if you want to get in touch and talk further about design methodologies. Thank you.